Neanderthals are often displayed as barbaric cavemen, but research says that our early ancestors seem to be truly quite advanced. Of all extinct humans, Neanderthals are the one about which we know the most facts. Many thousands of their fossils and artifacts include some nearly complete skeletons have been discovered. Additionally, we are aware of the genetic composition thanks to its reconstruction of numerous Neanderthal genomes using prehistoric DNA found in their bones. Although they were human like us, Neanderthals belong to a separate species known as Homo neanderthalensis. The Neanderthals have undergone extensive evolutionary change. The species resided from about 400,000 to 40,000 years ago and occupied an area that extended as far as Europe's Atlantic coast and as far as east as Central Asia. Around 430,000 years have passed since the earliest fossils that resemble Neanderthals were discovered. The earliest Neanderthals are thought to have existed between 130,000 and 40,000 years ago, beyond which no physical proof of them can be found. They were the first humans to survive in a frigid, glacial ecosystem since their home extended northward to present-day Belgium. The chilly climate of the north may have been an impact on the Neanderthals' physical makeup. Their height was typically 5 feet 5 inches for men and 5 feet 1 inch for women. They had stocky bodies and wide chests, hefty torsos, and muscular limbs. These modifications aided Neanderthals in maintaining and producing body heat. They also possessed large, relatively high bridges on their noses. As a result, a nasal chamber was formed, warming and humidifying the chilly, dry air they would normally breathe in the north. The size of their front teeth and the scratch scars on them indicate that they were frequently employed as a third hand when preparing food and other materials. Neanderthals had less of a chin than modern humans do. According to some scientists, the Neanderthals' physique also gave them stronger arms and legs for close-range ambushes during hunting. In addition to characteristics that allow Neanderthals to endure a hostile, wintry environment, the species also evolved big brains. They were frequently larger and had brains that were comparable to those of current humans. Another sort of adaptation culture may have been significantly influenced by an increase in brain size. Archaeological evidence reveals that Neanderthals had a very advanced society, which is a sign of intelligent species. They produced sophisticated tools, crafted and wore clothing, and constructed shelters. At Swanscombe in Kent, thousands of Neanderthals' hand axes have been discovered in prehistoric river deposits. Neanderthals were expert tool builders, as shown by the flint hand axes and spears that have been discovered during excavation. Neanderthals invented levallois technique, a novel stone technology about 300,000 years ago. This required creating pre-shaped stone cores that could subsequently be refined into a finishing tool. It implied that Neanderthals were free to move far from the sources of raw materials while yet having the capacity to create tools when required. Neanderthals were skilled hunters who were clever and able to communicate, as evidenced by the wounds that were left on their prey, which included mammoths, bison, and reindeer. It appears that some of the jewelry was made from eagle talons. The oldest specimens date back roughly 130,000 years. At Neanderthal sites like a cave in France, pierced animals' teeth and crafted ivory have been discovered. Additionally, pigment was apparently employed by Neanderthals to decorate or camouflage their bodies. Neanderthals may have killed large animals up close, a risky tactic that would have required a lot of skill, strength, and bravery. Bone damage, both healed and unhealed, had been discovered on the individuals. In fact, they were the first group of humans to create tools not only from stone, but also from bone. They also produced items with ornamental functions. It's thought that the symbolic act of remembering the deceased and decorating grave sites with flowers was first practiced by Neanderthals. The oldest known cave art was discovered in Spain, and it's possible that Neanderthals were the ones who produced it. According to a 2018 study published in Science, Neanderthals created some Paleolithic artwork in Spain since it was created thousands of years before modern humans arrived in the area. The red pigment was used to create geometric forms and hand stencils in the Spanish cave paintings. Some earlier hypotheses for Neanderthal symbolic behavior have uncertain dating or are thought to have occurred between 40 and 60,000 years ago, during inferred Neanderthal and Homo sapiens overlaps. As a result, they could still be explained by modern humans or by the impact of modern humans on Neanderthal behavior and attitude. The Neanderthals were indeed capable of symbolic or artistic expression, according to the Spanish cave art. However, there are currently no certain instances of Neanderthals producing representational art that was modeled after actual sources like animal or people. The ability to make fire was also acquired by Neanderthals at least 200,000 years ago. They required it to survive in their extremely hostile habitats. These individuals had a tough life, but they were highly resourceful. Despite their image of uncivilized cavemen, Neanderthals were actually highly skilled and intellectual people. They were not ape men. So it's unjust to them that the term Neanderthal is still used today as an insult. Neanderthals are typically depicted as fiercely carnivorous Ice Age hunters and scavengers who consumed huge beasts. But food that has been preserved in the calculus around their teeth reveals that the Neanderthal diet also comprised a variety of plants, either directly harvested or eaten from the stomach contents of their prey that also consumed plants. Neanderthals consumed fungus as well. They ate juvenile seals, dolphins, and mussels in Gibraltar. However, the later meat may have come from scavenged carcasses. Neanderthals were able to use fire. However, it's unknown if they frequently cooked their meals. Neanderthals may have possessed spoken language, but it's very difficult to say because the tissue surrounding the voice box doesn't survive. They did, however, have our vocal architecture, and the shape of their ear bones suggests that they shared our hearing range. They must have been able to communicate with one another, even though their language may have been simpler than ours, according to the complexity of their social lives. Neanderthals unexpectedly vanished after 40,000 years ago, despite cultural advancements. The most recent Neanderthal fossils and archaeological relics are from roughly 40,000 years ago in Europe. After that, they seem to have vanished physically, while some of their DNA is still present in modern humans. It's commonly known that Neanderthals went extinct, but why did this species vanish after existing for more than 350,000 years? We're still unsure. Some researchers argue that modern humans, or Homo sapiens, who came in Europe around the time of the Neanderthals' extinction, murdered or outcompeted them. Perhaps the competition for resources from advancing populations of Homo sapiens was too much for Neanderthals to handle. Another hypothesis contends that modern humans and Neanderthals interbred, resulting in the Neanderthals being assimilated into the much larger human population. That may help to explain why 1% to 2% of Neanderthal genes can be found in the DNA of most people of European or Asian ancestry. Beginning in 1997, ancient DNA was extracted from Neanderthal bones, and this allowed for the reconstruction of multiple whole genomes. These suggest that over the last 20,000 years, Neanderthal populations from Siberia to Spain were quite small and diverse. One female from the Altai Mountains had long-term inbreeding patterns in her genome, which is another marker of isolation and low population density. Another significant element that may have contributed to the demise of Neanderthals was the rapid and abrupt change in temperature. The plants and animals Neanderthals relied on are likewise impacted by sudden, extreme temperature fluctuations. Only those who were most flexible and resourceful could survive in such circumstances. Anthropologists have been baffled by Neanderthals for more than 150 years. The first Neanderthal bones were discovered in Belgium and Gibraltar in 1830 and 1848, respectively, but it took decades for them to be identified as such. It wasn't labeled as Neanderthal until many years later, though. In 1856, quarrymen in Germany discovered the first fossil that would come to be known as a Neanderthal and as an early human, or genus Homo fossil. The first evidence of a separate species of human was a fragmentary male Neanderthal skeleton discovered in 1856 while mining in Germany's Neander Valley. After the location where the fossils were discovered, the new species was given the name neanderthalensis. 8 years later, in 1864, Homo neanderthalensis, a new human species, was named after it. Neanderthal 1, or Feldhofer 1, named for the original name of the cave where it was discovered, is the oldest human species to have ever been recognized. At Taban Cave at Mount Carmel in Israel, scientists found a female Neanderthal skull. This Neanderthal specimen, Taban 1, is about 130,000 years old. The Neanderthals' tools, art, and DNA reveal that their resilience also involved innovation, creativity, and social behavior, much like modern Homo sapiens do today. Neanderthals' fossils show how evolution built them to be strong, to survive their harsh environment. In your opinions, what do you think that caused them to vanish? Let us know in the comments.